This big ziti recipe is my grandma's, so I may or may not get disowned for sharing it on YouTube. We'll see. But I had to share the love, you know? It's too good not to share, and the best part is, it's really easy to make, to be honest. So my family always uses penne noodles. You can use whatever noodles fit your need. This is what we like though. Now, the main core concept for baked ziti is we're gonna make a big thing of pot cheese, which is what we call it, or bowl cheese, if you want to call it that, whatever fits your fancy, I guess. Basically, we're combining a bunch of different cheeses, so I made it easy on myself. It's like 20 degrees here. My hands are all hurting and shit, so I don't want to grate a bunch myself. But anyways, I'm going to be using Parmesan cheese. I'm going to be using probably a thing or two of ricotta. This brand, it's good overall. Some fresh mozzarella. We're also going to throw some fresh mozzarella on the top, but I also like a little bit in my pot cheese. Now, key ingredient here for my family, we use a little bit of mint. It kind of sets it apart from some other baked ziti. We're gonna use some fresh basil, some parsley. Parsley's kind of on its last legs here, but we got enough, we should be all right. Gonna use some cracked black pepper. I'm gonna use a good amount of fresh garlic, obviously. I think I picked out 9 cloves here. Something about an odd number just spoke to me today. I'm gonna use, I think I'll probably use 2 eggs for this mixture. I'm gonna see how the mixture looks once I kind of visualize how much noodles I'm using and the pan I'm using, but I'll probably end up using 2 eggs. I'm gonna use some olive oil, of course. And I've got some salt in the background. I just salted my water for the pasta. Now we're gonna boil the pasta before we start doing everything else, and we're gonna cool down the pasta to stop the cooking. I'll go through that in a minute or two. I'm also doing something a little different. So I had kind of a crappy canned marinara sauce that I wanted to doctor up myself. So I doctored it up. It should be pretty good in about, we got 17 minutes left on it. I'm gonna make a full video on how I did this too. It's basically transforming like a crappy marinara canned sauce to a better one with some basic ingredients, and I'll link that down below in the description for you. Key step when you're boiling your noodles, so this package says 11 to 12 minutes. We don't want to cook these the full 11 to 12 minutes. Hold on, let me throw these in. We're gonna do 2 boxes too. We're making a good amount. I'm probably making this and then freezing it for my New Year's Eve with my family. So I'm making a good amount. So, like I was saying, we don't want to do the full 11 to 12 minutes. We want to do, I'd say 9 minutes will do the trick for this. I'm going to set this timer to 9 minutes. And we want to do it like that because we don't want to overcook the noodles once they go in the oven and our baked ziti dish has a full-on dish, right? So we want it to be par cooked. Now it's time for a little prepping montage. Our pasta's been going 9 minutes, so it's partially cooked, not totally. We're gonna drain it out. And the next step is really important to the entire process. So what we're going to do, remember, these are not fully cooked. We wanna stop them from cooking more. And if I just let them sit right now, scalding hot like this, they're gonna continue cooking. Nothing's stopping them from cooking, you know? So to stop that from cooking, we're gonna spray them with some cold water. If you have an ice cube maker, first off, just congrats to you. You've made it in life. I don't have an ice cube maker, and I don't have a ton of made ice already. I need those for cocktails probably later. Anyways, use cold water. It's perfectly fine. Make sure you get all your pasta out of the pot. Ooh, that's fucking hot. Now, you want to be able to reach your hand in to the bottom. Ooh, it's still a little hot. Without it being hot. And that means that it's not cooking anymore. Simple science that just hurts just a little. I'm just kidding. Don't do that. Once the noodles are cooled down, you're going to just set them to the side and wait for further instruction. Understood? Thank you. In the Coast Guard, we'd cook, obviously, you know, many times the amount of noodles as this to feed a couple hundred people sometimes. We'd use these giant containers and put a ton of ice, like pitchers and pitchers of ice in it to stop all the cooking. So same concept, just on a much smaller scale than I used to do back in the day. And if you eat them, oh yeah, not that good because they're not totally cooked, but they'll finish cooking in the oven. That's the main purpose of doing it this way. I've got my mise en place all set up, right? I've got my basil, my parsley, my mint, just a little mint goes a long ways, a lot of garlic. Got my couple beaten eggs, I've got my cooked noodles, and I've got my marinara sauce. The next step is a fun one. We're gonna make our big pot cheese. So I'm gonna do 1 tub of ricotta cheese at a time and just kind of see where we're at. And what I usually like to do, I hate measuring things, to be honest. That's probably why I never link the increments of the ingredients that I use in each recipe. I just like to eyeball everything. I think it makes you a better cook if you're able to do that. So I'm gonna kind of do that with this pot cheese mixture like everything else. And how I do it is, I'll take a look at my pasta and try to visualize and really think about how much cheese I need to cover all of that pasta in the pan that I'm cooking it in. And I'll go from there. So with our cheese mixture, we want to kind of mix everything in as we add it. I just find it is a little easier to judge how it's all going to look at the end, the final result. So we're going to add in our herbs. Our garlic, a ton of garlic, love it. And we're gonna add in our eggs as well. We're gonna mix everything up and just kind of start to eyeball it a bit, really, you know? Man, these flavors are already smelling really good already. Now, I'm only gonna add in just a little bit of salt because the ricotta cheese itself is a bit salty, so I don't want it to be too salty. Add in your black pepper as well, just a little. So just eyeballing it, we're definitely gonna need the other ricotta cheese mixture. Can never have too much cheese, right? Especially when it comes to baked ziti. The more cheese, the better. I'm gonna add in a little more Parmesan cheese too. Add in some olive oil. Good amount. It's gonna be so good. I am so excited, like beyond excited. I haven't made this in a really long time, to be honest. It's a real guilty pleasure. For the mozzarella, I'm just gonna rip up some chunks of it. We're gonna be adding mozzarella on top of our baked ziti too, to get that nice, crispy, cheesy look to it. Now the cool part about baked ziti is it gets better every day it sits in the fridge. You know, you can keep it for up to 5 days in the fridge, really. But each day it sits, it gets better and better because all these flavors, they marinate together, just like any kind of marinade does. For me, I'm gonna make this recipe, I'm gonna stick it in the fridge for a day, then I'm gonna freeze it and reheat it on New Year's Eve. Before we start building our sauce, I'm gonna layer this pan with some olive oil all around the edges, which is gonna help the baked ziti get a little crispy and not stick to the pan as much because it will stick to the pan and be kind of a pain in the butt to clean, obviously. So we're just gonna put a good amount of olive oil all over. Next step, we're gonna add in our sauce first. We're gonna make sure we got a nice layer of sauce for the pasta to sit on. Spread it out nice and evenly. And now we're gonna change it up a bit. I'm gonna throw you for a loop. We're actually gonna mix the pasta into this cheese mixture first. This is how my family likes to do it. And you'll see why once it all comes together. This is really the secret sauce here. Not the secret sauce, the secret pasta and cheese here. It's the trick that makes it taste much better. This trick is really the game changer when it comes to my family's baked ziti. We like to mix it all together besides the marinara sauce. And it comes out much better than layering it, honestly. Nothing against if you do layer it, all good, keep doing your thing. This is just how my family likes to make it. And it also is a really nice way to see and judge how much cheese per noodle ratio you need, because as you can see, it's looking like almost too cheesy, and that's because I didn't use the 2 full boxes yet. I did that purposely just to give you a look behind the curtain. So I'm still not going to add it all in, because as many times as I do this, sometimes I don't do the exact amount of cheese as I did last time to the 2 boxes a penny, you know? So we want to make sure it's looking really good before we throw it in the pan, because once it's in the pan, we don't want to mix it up that much more, because I'm going to have the layer of marinara sauce down here, and eventually I'll layer some marinara sauce on top too. And we don't want that all mixing into this part right here as much. So this is looking really good right here. I think I'm going to add in the rest of the pasta. I think I'm feeding a lot of people on New Year's Eve, so I want to make sure we have plenty of food. And I can always add in more cheese from my Parmesan cheese and my mozzarella mix coming into it. So I think this will work out pretty nicely. Now we're going to throw in our pasta and cheese mix on top of our nice layer of marinara. And we're going to start spreading it all out. Man, that's going to be so good. Now, what I do like to layer is the sauce. So I'll lay out another layer of marinara sauce before I top it with the rest of the pasta and cheese. Make sure it spreads out nice and evenly. It's funny, I usually, when I get canned sauce, I'm very particular about it. I always get the Michael's of Brooklyn sauce. Super, super good. I have no idea if they ship nationwide or not. I'm not really sure, but very prevalent in New York stores around here. They're based out of, I guess, southeast Brooklyn, I would call it. They're like 40 minutes east of where I used to live in Brooklyn. I never made it to their actual restaurant. Always wanted to, never got a chance to. But I've seen their social media accounts and looked at their pictures, their food online, and it looks pretty freaking incredible. If anybody's been there, Michael's of Brooklyn, let me know. I'm very curious. Their canned sauce is freaking amazing, or jarred sauce, I should say. Okay, now the rest of our noodles and cheese go on top. Oh my gosh, this is gonna be so freaking good. We're gonna top it with our mozzarella and probably a little more Parmesan cheese for fun. I'll probably end up using the rest of this mozzarella cheese to top it all, because this mozzarella cheese on top is gonna help it get that nice crisp look that we wanna see on our baked ziti. Especially because I'm gonna bake this covered for the first probably 20 minutes or so. And then once I uncover it, that's gonna give this cheese on top a while to start getting brown and cooked. And then at the very end, the last like few minutes or so, maybe 2 minutes, I'll broil it. Okay, that's a pretty good amount of cheese actually. I lied, I'm not using the entire thing. But I'm gonna hit it with a little more Parmesan cheese on top. Just to fill in the cracks, you know? Now we're gonna hit it with a little olive oil on top too. Now it's primed and ready to go in the oven after I cover it up with some foil. Important thing too, super important thing to understand, if you're gonna stick ziti in the fridge, and especially if you have marinara on the top where it would be touching this foil, make sure you put a layer of wax paper down first. Otherwise the acid in the tomatoes, they're gonna eat through the foil and they're gonna ruin your whole dish. That'll happen overnight pretty easily too. So now we got it covered, we're gonna throw it in the oven at 350. Throw it in the oven at 350 for 20 minutes before we uncover it. Now it's been 20 minutes, I'll show you what it's looking like, because we gotta unwrap the foil. Come on. Make sure you don't lose that cheese on there. Whoops. Okay, got a little sticky from the cheese, no big deal. So we wrap it for the first 20 minutes because it helps cook it a little better. It kind of steams it up a bit and starts heating it from the bottom up. Now we're gonna throw it back in uncovered for probably another 20-25 minutes or so. All right, timer's going off. So it's been a total cook time of 20 minutes covered and 20 minutes uncovered. Oh my God, it smells so good. It's looking really freaking good. We want to do a tiny taste test just to make sure like some of the middle noodles are cooked. Oh my God, it's so good. Okay, the middle noodles are cooked. That's so good. So garlicky and cheesy. Now, you can see just visually it looks cooked, right? I tested out the middle noodle's cooked too. Now we want to get it nice and brown on top. That's what all this mozzarella cheese is doing up here. And all the olive oil that I poured in, it's going to get a nice broil. So we're going to turn on our broiler. We're going to set it to broil until the cheese gets nice and brownish on top. So we're going to check it every minute because we don't want to burn this. Fuck you if you burn your big Ziti. My grandma, she'll come down from the heavens and fuck you up. I'm just kidding. I'm just playing. Totally kidding. Totally kidding. All right, we're going to check it out in a minute. I'll show you how it looks. At a certain point, you're going to start checking it every like 5 to 10 seconds like me. So we're at 1 minute and 35 seconds right now. So now I'm at the point where I'm checking it every like 3 to 5 seconds. All right, we're gonna go a couple more seconds. Oh my God, that's looking amazing right now. Let it go 3 more seconds. Come on, Steve, hold. Okay. That's as long as I can stomach it. It's coming out. Oh yeah. Oh, that's looking amazing. This is a thing of beauty. My grandma would be proud of this big Ziti right here. Now, I like to top mine with a little bit of fresh basil too because it really makes the color pop on it. It's just a little added touch, you know? Which is what cooking's all about because people eat with their eyes first. It's almost too pretty to cut, but we gotta do it, right? Oh, wow. That looks absolutely incredible. Wow. So stoked to try this. Doesn't get better than this right here. You're gonna enjoy it. If you did enjoy it, give this video a like, subscribe to my channel, check out another video up here. You can also sign up to my weekly newsletter. I linked it down below. Share some behind the scenes stuff, a weekly summary of the YouTube videos, and a few other cool things.